Welcome to Whiskey's a Journey. My name is Peter Fossiano, and you are watching my Monday series on single barrel bourbons. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Hancock's President's Reserve. This is a Buffalo Trace product, but you wouldn't know it if you were looking at their website. Let's go ahead and pour this, nose it, taste it, talk about it, and then if you stick around until the end, I'm going to give this thing a score. All right, the stats on this. This is a single barrel bourbon whiskey. Doesn't say Kentucky straight whiskey. It's just a single barrel bourbon whiskey on the label. It's a single barrel, 88.9 proof. It is a Buffalo Trace product, and they're using their mash bill number 2, which I do believe it's rumored to be a higher rye mash bill, anywhere from 15 to 12% rye. I have a 750 milliliter bottle, and at the time that I paid for this bottle, it was $69.99, and I recently went into the store and they are now asking $90 for this. I wouldn't say that it's allocated because it's now on the shelves and they kind of just sit there. I'd be curious to hear if this is an allocated product in your area and how much it's actually going for in your area. Just like always, before I get this thing up to my nose, I get a lot of sweetness, but let's go ahead and get this thing on the nose. If you've been here the last couple of weeks and you've been watching my videos, you know that this was part of my part 2 single barrel bourbon flight. And when I first nosed this, it was the actual first whiskey in the lineup. I didn't get any grape, and it wasn't until the very end of the video that I took a sip after revealing what it was that I got a grape note. And you please let me know in the comments below if you actually get that grape popsicle stick note from Buffalo Trace products. I get it, but I was shocked that I did not get it when I first smelled this during my 5-bottle flight. But once I knew what it was, and especially now, I'm getting a grape popsicle stick. You know those popsicle sticks that are frozen, they're grape flavor, and that grape seeps into the popsicle stick, and if you chew on it, you get wood plus grape notes. That's what I get on the nose. And if this is mash bill number 2 with that higher rye content, I don't know if I pick up on much spice at all. My flavor profile tends to be a little bit more sweet than spice, so anything that has a high rye content, I'm a little bit sensitive to, and I'm not picking up very much pepper or rye spice in here. There are those typical vanilla, brown sugar, and caramel notes, but the main note that I get is that sweet fruit note, grape. All right, let's go ahead and get it on the palate, see what I think. Yeah, that low ABV, was it 44.45 ABV? This goes down like water. It doesn't seem to be very viscous. It doesn't stick to the mouth. It doesn't saturate anything. It tastes like flavored cough syrup. I guess all cough syrup would be flavored. Maybe that's a little bit harsh because it doesn't have that medicinal note. It's just very sweet. No spice. I wouldn't say that I get much other than the vanilla and the caramel. Brown sugar does bring something to the table as far as flavor goes, but I'm not picking up much brown sugar in this at all. It's grape candy sweetness, almost like the grape nerds and or the subtle flavor of the grape inside that popsicle stick. I'm not overwhelmed by the flavors at all. The viscosity is not very much. Flavors don't develop much at all. I wouldn't say that it's flat just because of the sweetness. I wouldn't say that this is a flat drinking whiskey at all. It's good, but it's a low proof sweet whiskey. That's pretty typical. All right, let's go ahead and get that second sip down. Yeah, sweet fruit, tiny bit of spice on that second sip, loads of vanilla and caramel, and a very, very short finish. I would say there's a little bit of oak to this, but not really much at all. Typically, what I would usually get is a good amount of barrel tannin or barrel char on the side of my tongue, and I don't get any of that. It's just a very sweet, easy sipping, low proof bourbon. It almost seems pointless to do, but I am going to add a couple of drops of water to this just to kind of see where this water takes it. And from my last video, name this straw. Where did I get this straw from? Leave me some comments down below. I'm gonna roll this in the glass, let it sit for a little bit, and there's not a whole lot of information to talk about with Hancock's President's Reserve. So Willis and Hancock Lee back in 1775 set up a Leestown settlement along the banks of the Kentucky River that ended up becoming a port that was used to ship whiskey, tobacco, and hemp. And apparently back in the day, it was a pretty popular port. So that's pretty much it as far as the information goes. If you know any other information about Hancock's President's Reserve single barrel, let me know in the comments down below. My guess is this has something to do with marketing or ownership of Hancock's President's Reserve. I know, what is it? I know that Sazerac Rye is a Buffalo Trace product as well, but there's something going on with the naming rights along with Blanton's. Something deals with like the naming itself. Like Sazerac has the naming rights to Blanton's, but they also have some other company involved that owns something dealing with the advertisement of it. So I don't know if that with the Blantons, that whole thing that's going on with Blanton's is also happening with Hancock's President's Reserve. I don't know why don't I just call it just Hancock's Reserve. But I don't claim to know everything. So if this does sound a little bit familiar to you with the Blanton's naming and with the two groups that are involved with it, if that's very similar to the Hancock's President's Reserve, let me know in the comments down below. All right, on the nose, the grape note's a little bit subdued, and I just get sugar sweetness, a little bit of a ripe fruit, some sort of red fruit, maybe a strawberry, a raspberry, some sort of red berry fruit sweetness, and a little bit of pepper spice. So adding a little bit of water. There's water soluble and non-water soluble particles in whiskey, and typically when I do add water, a lot of the times it does separate. I get a little bit more of a spice note in the whiskey after I add the water, and maybe that's what happened here. So I get a little bit more spice on the nose, but it's still just sugary fruit sweet. All right, let's get it on the palate. Yeah, it tastes a little bit more watered down. It is sugar sweet. Get a little bit more. I get some honey out of here now. Honey didn't show up on the palate prior to the water, but I think it's there now. Good spice. The sweetness is still there. If you want something that's a little bit low proof, but still has a little bit of sweetness, and you don't want to overpower your palate with ABV, this is something that you could think about, but you also need to take in account the price. I think there are other whiskeys that are much cheaper that offer a lot more in the Buffalo Trace lineup. I would say I would choose anything in the benchmark lineup, the full proof, the single barrel, the top floor, the bonded, the small batch. I think all of those for the price point, I would opt for those over this one. All right, so let's go ahead and get on to the score. If you're new here, my scoring system is out of 5 stars. I definitely have to put into account or take into account the price of this as far as the flavor goes. And because this is pretty close to, or if not right at $100, out of 5 stars, based on the price and based on the flavor that's coming out of the glass, I'm gonna end up putting this one at, I wanna say 2.99. The 3-star whiskey that I had in my single barrel collections are better than this. So I can't see myself giving this a 3 because I would reach for those over this. And because of the price, the value definitely has to drop this down below 3. So even though it tastes just fine, there's nothing wrong with it, there's nothing sharp, but because of the low proof and the flavors that are coming out of the glass and all of the other bourbons in my single barrels that got a score of 3, I'm gonna put this at 2.99. That might sound a little bit harsh, but for $100 at 88.9 proof and the flavors that are there but not as vibrant as the other single barrels that I have in my collection that I gave it a 3, 2.99. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. If you are new to the channel and you like this information and you have not subscribed already, do me a favor, just go ahead and click on that subscribe button right there. And until the next time, wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you are enjoying it, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.